And we welcome you back to the Big Time Sports Podcast Show. Mitch, Spinell, and Mitchell Balla here to give you the latest in local, statewide, and nationwide athletics. And now we go over to a brief discussion with one of the top high school football coaches in the area, in Sandy Valley High School's Brian Gamble. Now, Coach Gamble, thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, Sandy Valley, a member of the IVC, with Coach Gamble going into, I believe, his sixth season in Magnolia. So, Coach, as the season comes to its beginning here soon, one of the youngest Sandy Valley rosters in your tenure so far. I believe only 2 seniors heading into this year. Many young guns coming up to try and regroup and do a lot of what Sandy Valley was able to do last year against some top competition. Where do you see this team starting out from the start of camp just a few weeks ago all the way to the first kickoff here this coming week?
Well, I guess the best way to put it, I come from a baseball family, and they're like a brand new glove. You just got to break them in the way that you need to break them in to see it fit. And these guys have worked hard the entire time, from all the way through December, from 6 a.m. lifts to our off season stuff, from going all the way from school endings 6 a.m. to our June conditioning and our July camps, and then going into our tour days in August. These guys have all shown up. These guys have all worked their tails off, and they're really trying to keep the torch going. And they're taking the reins on it. We joke around quite a bit that age is just a number. And these guys, they look around at each other like, who is going to be our leaders? We're molding a lot of these guys to be the leaders, and these guys are really stepping up to be that. And we're real excited about that. And we know, pretty much, whatever happens this year, good, bad, ugly, and great, it's going to be, we know most of them are coming back, maybe all 22. And so that's something unique, something that I've, in my 14 years at Sandy and my 6 years as the head coach, it's something new. And but it is something that we're embracing and that we're learning and growing all together with.
Now, Coach, I had a question here that I was prepared to ask towards the end of this interview, but you hit a couple things and it's the reason I'm going to ask this, right? You mentioned you come from a baseball family. We know what you guys are all about over there at Sandy Valley, and keeping it as a family. And, I had the privilege to play for your brother over at Jackson. And so now it brings me to ask this question, because I've got to see the dynamic in a dugout between your brother Bill and your father Frank. To my knowledge, though, your dad, Frank Gamble, is on your staff and has been in years past. And just, I kind of wanted to ask, what's that like? What's the dynamic like on the field for you versus, in the dugout with your brother and him? Just how much fun is it to have your dad on the sideline, and what kind of experience and lessons is he able to provide for all the young players?
I mean, the lessons are lessons that we grew up with. They're foundational pieces that, we came from a coaching family. Dad was, when he was in season and stuff, dad was gone, or we were at their practices, and he'd come home and leave it on the field. And those are life lessons that I'm learning, as a young father and a husband as well. And I just having those things around, just every day. I can repeat things in my mind that I know he's instilled upon me and instilled upon my brother Bill, and those are life pieces and life, and those are techniques that I use as a mental game. As far as the good and the bad, you put those together though, and you're able to get through the day with that. And just having him on the sidelines and having him around just for advice, just because he's been through it, and it's been absolutely it's awesome, man. I feel very blessed, very, very blessed. Literally I'm having this conversation with you, with this interview with you, and he is calling my phone as we speak. So speak of the devil. But no, he's always attention to detail. That's number one. And that's what I really picked up on, just being, doing it in a professional aspect, just every single thing, every try to dot every I, cross every T, and check every box. That's him. And that's what we try to do here, is to make sure everything is cleaned up, no questions. Everybody knows what they're doing at all times. And we're very structured family, very structured programs. and it's we just abide by that, in everyday in our everyday aspects of life.
Well, Coach, you're going into this year coming off a 6-5 finish and a playoff appearance in 2021. A 6-5 finish that, from what I saw last season, the record didn't always represent what I saw on the field from you guys, because you had a lot of competitive matchups against some very good teams. One in particular was a huge victory last season in Magnolia against, I believe, then undefeated Malvern. And when you see the guys that you have that are going to be leading your team this year, particularly the named captains that you just had, if I believe you have Chad Davis, Nick Petro, Andrew Neary, you got Lucas Dougherty in there as well. What was the process going into this year that led you to pick those particular players to be named as captains for the Cardinals squad?
Well, captains it's an honor. Number one, it is a title, and I think we have more than those. But these are the guys that we let our team kind of vote. Kind of get a feel all the way through camp, leading up to close to picture day when we've already been through 2 days and all that stuff. And then we get a good sense as far as who's really taking on the reins with that. But it's again, it's voted on by our team, and it's it is an honor because the team chose those guys, and it's a big deal. But we have other guys too, that underclassmen, juniors that are really pushing for that. Trent Russell and Troy Snyder and Chapin Greer, those guys are really, they're not named captains, but boy, they are leaders. So it doesn't matter, with that's concerned. But I think that, just the leadership thing for us, because we're so young, it's just grooming these guys to how to be a leader. A lot of everybody you named, but one of them are juniors. You know what I mean? Usually it's your seniors that have been through it, that have the experience, that take on the reign, and that they can handle the locker room. Those are your experienced, seasoned seniors. But we're doing it with guys that are juniors. But again, age is a number. A lot of those guys played as freshmen, and like I said, they have years under their belt. It's just younger years.
And now, Coach, one of those captains that we just talked about, and one of the 4 players that Mitch named, is junior quarterback Nick Petro, that actually just appeared on the Canton Repository's Greater Canton Top 10 2022 high school quarterbacks list. This is now coming into his junior year. As a sophomore, he completed 66% of his passes last year. How great and how has the offense looked so far in camp, knowing that you have somebody coming back with experience already, and how excited are you knowing you have this season and next season with him still?
His development from going into his sophomore year was big strides, but it's been even bigger strides this offseason, his junior year. It helps too. He also grew 2 inches. He was 6'1", now he's 6'3". He's one of the tallest kids on my team. He's been working out. He was working out with Coach Tom McDaniels in the off season in his throwing program and quarterback school. And obviously, my dad's been coaching him, all around too with quarterbacks. And I tell you what, his progression with his processing information, his leadership skills is verbally and on the field, first guy in, last guy out. Just setting the bar for everybody else. He's kind of been that guy, just been our horse, so to speak, and he's done a really good job of working, and he's done a good job of just processing information, getting our other younger guys, younger skill guys, even offensive line, everybody, just to make sure they're in the right spots, and he's took on our playbook early, and he has everything memorized frontwards, backwards, and he really gets everybody in line and makes sure everybody's on board. And he hosts throwing sessions with guys on days off. He brings them all on the field to work with them, to time them up, because every guy's a little bit different, so he knows that. If it's a back shoulder throw, if they got to throw in the front or whatnot. Just the little techniques, things that tweak to make good players great, and he's really taking those steps.
Well, Coach, obviously Petro will have many new guys to throw to from juniors on down. With the loss of a player like Mason Tucci, who was one of the top receivers and returners last year, can you tell us about some of the guys that you see coming up that could be impact players in the receiving corps for Sandy?
Absolutely. We have a couple of returning starters with 3 returning starters at the wide receiver position with Chapin Greer, another big body guy. He plays mainly outside. He's a 6'2" kid that goes up and gets the ball. He's vertical is very, very good. And again, I already mentioned his leadership skills and work ethic. We have Troy Snyder. Troy Snyder is a returning starter at free safety, and he's also one of our outside receivers. He's another one that's a very, very good with going to go get the ball. And then we have Lucas Gilland. He is one of our slot receivers. He started for me as a freshman last year. He was one of the freshmen to play almost every down at the F position, which would be our number 3 or our slot position. But then now he's groomed into a different slot position, and he's a dog. We really, really like him. I think he's going to be very special, real long, real fast, kind of like Mason, but a little taller. But we really, really like him. And then Anthony Ross is another one that he's played a little bit at corner as a freshman. He played a little bit at receiver later in the year when we got guys banged up. So another guy has some experience. And then we have Jason Morse. Another guy. He's a junior, and he's a guy that's really pushed and really developed. He went to States and at the long jump position, he was close to making that. And track, he's a really athletic kid, scrappy. Likes blocking, likes to do the dirty work, all that stuff. That's pretty cool. So those guys, it's a fun unit. We have other guys too that I haven't mentioned, but these guys, they take pride in it. They have their own group, their own core, their own. I don't know. It's like their own language almost. They just kind of hover together and kind of know that they try to dominate whoever tries to guard them. So it's a group, but it's also a young group. I mean, everyone I mentioned, we have three juniors and sophomores, that are in there. But they're also a group that they believe in themselves. They're long, they're lanky, they can go up and get the ball, and they're bigger targets. And we like that. We kind of understand. We're just understanding spacing now, and we're just starting to get to that point. And I tell you, these guys work really hard.
Sandy Valley head football coach Brian Gamble is our guest. Coach, you guys will kick off the season, one of the few teams in the state of Ohio to get the 2022 season underway here on a Thursday night when you guys host Fairless. And, we have your schedule in front of us, but just kind of talk about, how excited you are and your staff and the players and, getting the season started, knowing that you get to go out there in pads, hit another team when it counts instead of scrimmages, but just how much fun it's going to be to open the season at home on a Thursday night under the lights.
I mean, it's pretty special for small schools, out there to go and to go and get to open up, especially in Stark County. It's very special. It's something that myself and I know Fairless and Coach Sarbaugh, we take very pride in. It's a build up for it. We know we're not a little bit in the limelight because we are, one of the rarest ones to play earlier, and we embrace that. We like that, and we've been doing it now for the past 6 years, and it's been like now it's kind of well oiled, especially when it's week 1 Thursday, as far as our preparation for it. And we're just real proud of it, and we just like to put our small schools on notice. You know what I mean? And I think it's a win for everybody.
Well, once again, Coach Brian Gamble here with us from Sandy Valley. Before going into this regular season here for high school football, and when you look at some of the matchups that you have in the Inter-Valley Conference this year, are there any particular dates that come to mind, like any particular squads you're really hyping your guys up to be facing here on the IVC South schedule?
I mean, when you have 42 guys and you only have 2 seniors, every game, every single one, is the biggest game of their lives. You know what I mean? So it's not we don't circle calendars, man. We just circle what day you got to show up the next day and get to work.
Coach, one thing I want to ask you, and it's a pretty cool honor that you got to have early this summer before you maybe started camp with your team, but you were the head coach and you led the East team in this year's East-West All-Star game that took place at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. What was that experience like for you, and were you able to take any lessons from that you're able to, take back to Sandy Valley to your staff and kind of give to your players?
Oh man, it's just what an honor and a great experience that was to have, Hall of Famers on our sidelines and be able to, practice, at the practice fields and then to go play the game at Tom Benson Stadium, first time in a long time since it was played at Gilland before that previously. And I tell you, it's been an awesome event. I really embraced it. I played it, 22 years ago. And, I was able to play in it, and I actually played against Geis, who was the head coach of the West. He's the head coach at Green. We played against each other. I was playing for the West. He was playing for the East. So it's just crazy how, life comes in circles, but it's a fun thing. And it's great that you can have, what's really cool is that you have, other head coaches on your staff. I had, Coach Brian Baum from Hoover, and Tim Goodman from Alliance. I had all those guys, and I thought that those guys, just picking their brain and everything, I was able to learn a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's it. Just you pick up things like that, and that's something that's just valuable, and it's something that we embrace for sure. And that part was really cool. And I really like the fact that I just to be around and get to meet these players, these seniors and everything else. And just to meet everybody, I thought that was pretty neat.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time this afternoon, and we wish you guys the best of luck as you guys will kick off the 2022 high school football season on Thursday, August 18th, when you guys host the Fairless Falcons over at Sandy Valley. We really appreciate your time today, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck heading into the 2022 season.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. You guys do a great job, and just thanks for everything you guys do for high school sports, and especially for us.